What's up, everybody? Max Whitman here. You there? Welcome to episode 2 of Book It Better. Today we will have Monday Night Raw booked. As you can tell possibly by the sound of my voice, I'm not feeling well today. So we're going to book this a little bit differently than our last episode. The show is already completely booked. We'll go through a couple of announcements that I have before seeing the show. And then we will run the show. I don't know what the show looks like yet. I haven't seen the ratings yet, but it is completely booked. So we'll just kind of go through the ratings and call it a day. Couple of announcements on the signings front. We have signed, if we go to our main roster here, Pete Dunne has signed a full-time main roster contract with us. So he will be assigned to the Raw brand. He'll be available next week. He's not available for this current show, but he will be available for action next week. So that is a publicized signing that we'll be advertising for the next show. In addition to that, if we go to our development, which we can't, we've signed Will Ospreay to a developmental contract. Don't really have real plans for him yet. We'll see how he develops down in NXT, and we'll go from there. We've also signed Lance Anoa'i. We'll be changing his name to Lance Uso, most likely. But I don't think we'll see him on the main roster anytime soon. His signing was strictly a kind of a Anoa'i family tree kind of signing. Bring him on, throw him down in NXT, and see what we have there. Excuse me. So, with the exception of that, I think everything else is pretty much up to date in terms of signings. Let's go to our booking screen. So we're looking at Monday Night Raw here. Let's run the show so we don't have too much. Oh, before I run the show, I had started a tournament on Smackdown. And said I would have the brackets up for the next show that we did. So here's the brackets to our tournament as we're running it. These matches happened already. Dolph Ziggler over Kofi Kingston. So Ziggler advances to face Roman Reigns next week on SmackDown. Braun Strowman over Bray Wyatt. Strowman advances to face John Cena next week on SmackDown. The Miz over Samoa Joe. He'll advance to face the winner of Cena Strowman. And Finn Balor went over on Sheamus. He advances to face the winner of Ziggler versus Reigns. In our losers bracket, next week on SmackDown, we'll have Sheamus versus Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe versus Kofi Kingston. So next week on SmackDown, we'll see John Cena versus Braun Strowman. We'll see Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler. Sheamus going one-on-one with Bray Wyatt. And Samoa Joe head-to-head with Kofi Kingston. If you want to, leave your predictions in the comments. And we'll see if we can get them right there. All right. Pulling back to Raw. Let's get into this. So we have 4 pre-show matches, 1 post-show match. We'll go accept here. On our pre-show. The pre-show bout, Subpar Wrestling Little Heath. American Alpha defeats the Colognes and the Revival in 10:35. The Colognes were eliminated first, then the Revival. Chad Gable gets the win here. Chad Gable picks up the final pinfall. The match didn't score too bad, 56 for a C-. That's encouraging to see. Let's see who the stars were here. Chad Gable with a 61 rated performance. So Chad Gable comes out of this match looking really good. And that will bode well for him in the future. Go to our next segment here. Curtis Axel versus Erick Rowan and Rhino. A poor pre-show match, but Curtis Axel picks up the win over Erick Rowan and Rhino in 6.5 minutes when Curtis Axel defeats Erick Rowan by pinfall. Again, a C- rated match, not terribly. Rhino actually had the best in-ring performance there at a 54. Curtis Axel with a 52 right behind him. Our third pre-show dark match is a battle royal. It's just a 10-man battle royal, kind of all the lower mid-card and opener guys thrown into one match here. In the news, though, it's a dark match, but Andrade Cien Almas debuts on a dark match up from NXT, as does Johnny Gargano. So prior to booking the show, both Gargano and Almas asked to be called up. We opted to make that call up, and and they'll be both assigned to the Raw brand. That actually wasn't my decision. That was Raw Dog's decision. Raw Dog, again, as you can see, not here. He is playing the role of the Raw Anonymous General Manager. That match scores a 49, though. Not terrible for what it was. In our final pre-show match, the club goes over Kalisto and Sin Cara, scores a C-, a 56 rating. Poor pre-show match, but the club defeats Sin Cara and Kalisto when Carl Anderson defeats Kalisto by pinfall with the Magic Killer. Our stars of the match here, Carl Anderson, a 63, Luke Gallows, a 58, Sin Cara, a 44, and Kalisto just a 38. So Kalisto really off his game here. Excuse me. And that would be why. Kalisto and Sin Cara have absolutely zero chemistry as partners. That is good to know. So this match should have been a lot better than it was. But due to the lack of chemistry between Kalisto and Sin Cara, we get a 56 for a C- rating. I'm going to get a drink of water here because my throat's drying up. Alright, and I'm back. Okay, so move on to our next segment. This is our live show opener. It's a freeze. We're going to have a segment with AJ Styles cutting a promo, Seth Rollins arrives, and the two argue. Basically, this is AJ Styles coming out, saying he's going to win the Universal title. Seth Rollins comes out, he disagrees, yada yada. It's the standard, pretty standard opening for Monday Night Raw, where the two stars come out, they open up the show with a promo. This scores a 91, grabs an A rating. That's a great way to start off the show. Angle gets the show off to a hot start, and the Universal title hunt storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat. Do we have any improvement? No work improvement. That's a great way to start the show. We're going to move into Alistair Black versus Heath Slater. So about that had subpar wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Alistair Black defeated Heath Slater in 5:21 by pinfall. This scores a 43. It's a D-rated match. Heath Slater seemed off his game. Alistair Black has a 45 in-ring performance. Heath Slater a 44. So we really want to try really hard to get Alistair Black over here. That's the goal here. So because of his real low popularity, he's only a 17 popularity average across the entire United States. So his matches are really going to suffer because of that. So we really want to get him over. So we're seeing to put him against guys like Heath Slater. We're going to try and really have him. Seems like he's looking towards running through that lower mid card there. Victories over guys like Heath Slater. That's going to slowly start to build that popularity up. So we're going to hope to see his popularity raise because really, statistically, attribute-wise, he's somebody that we really want to be building around. We'd love to have him up there in popularity. So starting a run for him, starting a little bit of a push here. But we really have high hopes for Alistair Black, and hopefully we see these grades start to raise as he starts getting into matches with guys that are more well-known, and as he starts to become a little more well-known himself. Move on to our next segment. It's an angle featuring Bayley and Sasha Banks. Bayley and Sasha are backstage hanging out. This is typical, just your standard. Bayley and Sasha Banks are friends. They're hanging out backstage. They're friendly with each other. They're goofing around. Pretty simple. Gets a 52, a D+ rating. The Raw Women's title storyline advances with this segment. It actually gains heat with a 52. It was at a 48 heat, I believe. But pretty standard. Nothing really to report on here. We're going to get an angle here. Luke Harper jumps Shinsuke Nakamura. So this is Shinsuke backstage. Luke Harper jumps him, beats him down. That's basically what the Universal title hunt storyline has advanced with the segment. It scores an 82. Gets a B rating. It's actually a way better rating than I thought it was going to be. We rated Luke Harper on Menace here, and we rated Shinsuke on his selling. Basically, we want Luke Harper here to come across looking really menacing, looking really intimidating, and we want Shinsuke to really sell that beatdown. It's not your standard typical beatdown. This is a good beatdown. Shinsuke takes a real beating here. So again, 82, a B rating. That's a good rating. This show is already off to a way better start than our first episode of Monday Night Raw. So Raw Dog's starting to get the hang of booking. We get a tag team match here. Carmela and Emma versus Sasha and Bayley. In a terrible match, Carmela and Emmy defeat Sasha Banks and Bayley in 10.5 minutes when Carmela defeated Bayley by submission with a modified head scissors after a turn by Sasha Banks. So basically what happened here in this match, Sasha and Bayley are teaming together. Sasha walks out. So she walks out of the match. She leaves Bayley by herself. to take a beat down from Carmela and Emma. So we saw Sasha and Bayley being friendly earlier. Now we see Sasha walk out and leave Bayley, pretty much leave her to the wolves here. The Raw Women's title story advances with this segment. Our star here was Sasha Banks. She had a 52 rated performance, followed by Bayley at 43. Carmella was the worst, down at 30. We do see Emma and Carmella both improve in their high-flying skills. In our next segment, this is a freestyle. This is a Raw Dog announces a tag team match for the main event. So basically, this is Raw Dog, our super sexy anonymous general manager, Raw Dog. He is out to the ring to make a main event tag team match. He's gonna Teddy Long this one, and he's gonna put Seth Rollins with Luke Harper and match them up against Shinsuke and AJ Styles in the main event tonight for to end the show out. This grabs an 89 rating. That's also an A. Another superb segment here. The Universal Title Hunt storyline advances with the segment and gains heat, so that's big news. That's good. Raw Dog was superb working without a script. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. Shinsuke Nakamura worked the crowd well. AJ Styles worked the crowd well. And Luke Harper looked poor in the segment, but that makes sense because he's with 3 superstars. We didn't script this segment. We let all these guys kind of just go freestyle it. And it plays out in our favor because 3 out of the 5 guys in this segment used that freedom to make the segment even better. To our next segment, this one actually is a way better match than I thought it was going to be. This is Cesaro versus Cedric Alexander. It about had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat. Cesaro defeated Cedric Alexander in 14:44 with the neutralized by pinfall. Cesaro carries this match. Cedric Alexander looked off his game. Cedric Alexander's in-ring performance is a 41. Cesaro's is a 79. But the match scores a 73. It's a B- rating. So Cesaro put Alexander on his back, essentially, in this one and carried things for us. But he carries him to a very good match. And it's going to help out Cedric in terms of his popularity, just to work with somebody like Cesaro. We really want to kind of get Cedric into the limelight. Not a major push, but into that limelight, get him kind of on TV and seen, and to work with a guy like Cesaro, work a program with him, and pull that kind of rating is going to be really good for him. In our next segment, Dean Ambrose and Sami Zayn defeat Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal in just under 20 minutes. Dean Ambrose defeats Jinder Mahal by pinfall with a Dirty Deeds. Jinder Mahal was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. This match grabs a B rating as well, a 78. Not bad at all. At the announce desk, let's see. Sami Zayn has a 68 rated performance. Dean Ambrose grabs an 82. Jinder a 55. And Kevin Owens an 87. The Intercontinental storyline started with this gimmick. So this is going to be the first match in the Intercontinental title storyline. So for it to pull a 78, that's big. That's going to really affect the heat of that title storyline. Basically, we get the 4 competitors in the Intercontinental title match teaming up and going head-to-head in a tag team match. Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens come out looking like stars here. Sami Zayn looked okay, and Jinder Mahal looked like you would expect Jinder Mahal to look. Do you have any improvements? Yes, Dean Ambrose improves his technical skills in this match. Finley, one of our road agents, has a note here. I think it's a bad idea to have Jinder Mahal taking part in a match which is being called in the ring. He doesn't yet have the ability to pull it off, and he looks lost. I did know that we were probably going to see that, and it did affect the match. It didn't affect it terribly, which is kind of what I expected. So Jinder Mahal's psychology rating is not up to par. Ordinarily, any match that he's in would be scripted, so that he doesn't have to improvise in the ring. However, I did have him improvising here because Ambrose, Zayn, and Owens are so good at improvising that I felt it wouldn't really hurt the match that much to have Jinder Mahal improvising as well. I was right. His performance was very weak, a 55. That's probably why. But it didn't really affect the match all that much. Still pulls a 78 because those other guys are so good. We're going to thank Finley. Here we get Bayley confronts Sasha. Sasha tells her that she was nothing more than an obstacle slowing her down. So this is Bayley finding Sasha backstage, grabbing her, asking her, hey, what the heck's going on? Thought we were friends. And Sasha turns and basically tells her that you have been nothing more than an obstacle for me. You've slowed me down, and it's time for me to branch out on my own here and dump the dead weight. So we're going to see in the coming weeks where that goes. Moving on to our main event of the evening. Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles versus Luke Harper and Seth Rollins. This one scores a 79. Not quite as good a rating as I had hoped. About that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Nakamura and Styles defeat Luke Harper and Rollins in 22 minutes when AJ Styles defeats Luke Harper with the Styles Clash. I'm interested to see why this wasn't a great match. No real reason. So Styles pulls off a performance, an 88 rated performance. Nakamura a 74, Rollins 85, and Harper 69. The Universal Title Hunt storyline advances with this segment. So no real reason. Probably just a simple TV match. They're not really trying as hard as they can. But a 79 is nothing to turn your nose up at. It gets a B rating in our main event. That's solid. And that's going to end our live show. We do have one post-show match, and we will move to that. This will be the last one, the last rated show that affects the rating of the show. Our next match won't have any effect on the show rating in total because it's post-show. It's another dark match. But so we have an injury here. Luke Harper sustained a rotator cuff strain. Well, hopefully that heals up in the next couple weeks, and he's able to go at Clash of Champions. We will see. So in a dark match to close out the show, we have Randy Orton teaming with Rusev versus the Hardy Boys. And Rusev defeats Jeff Hardy by pinfall. Rusev was the weak link. I'm actually a little surprised at that. Randy Orton gets an 80, Matt Hardy an 81, Jeff Hardy an 80, and Rusev a 61. I did not expect the Hardy Boys to pull off those kind of ratings. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy obviously have excellent chemistry. That's why this match gets such a low rating. Randy Orton and Rusev don't work well as a team. Their timing is all over the place. So, again, we get a negative chemistry penalty, and it really tanked the match here because you've got three guys with an 80 performance and one with a 60. There's no reason this match shouldn't have pulled in the high 70s. It pulls a 57, a C- rating because of the lack of chemistry. That's okay, though. We don't really mind. This match doesn't air on TV. It is only a dark match. So we will end the show here. There we go. We pull an 80 rating, so way better than our initial 69 rating. This show increases our popularity in 26 regions. Yes, it does. 26 regions. That's good to see. That's nice to, really nice to get out of that 60s kind of rating there and bounce back from that. So we open with a really poor Raw to start the game off, but we're back on track here. We score an 80. Let's see. Game is currently loading here. And we'll see if we have any notifications before we wrap up the video. We have one email. And we have a couple of emails. Luke Harper is injured. We knew that. Raw scores a 22 rating. We have some opinions here. Drug test fee. So we paid $23,000 in drug test fees. That's all right. Cesaro's opinion. Cedric Alexander is going to be a star, in my opinion. This kid is worth pushing hard. Well, thanks for the input, Cesaro. That's why we matched him with you. Dean Ambrose. Sin Cara has poor in-ring psychology. He's probably not worth keeping around. Well, thank you, Dean. Dean lobbying to get Sin Cara fired here. Cedric Alexander. So Finley now pushing hard for Cedric Alexander. We think he's going to be a star. We tend to agree, Finley. Jason Jordan is going to be a star. That's Rusev's opinion. He's worth pushing hard. Road Dog says James Ellsworth just doesn't get it, in my opinion. He can probably be cut loose. You're probably right, Road Dog. Good observations. Seth Rollins thinks Rich Swann is charismatic, and I can see him doing well in the future. Well, thank you, Thank you, Seth. So SmackDown Live is tonight. We would have to book that immediately. I'm not going to book that right now. That will be next episode. We will book SmackDown Live. Again, when we do, we will see John Cena taking on Braun Strowman in the main event, Roman Reigns taking on Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus taking on Bray Wyatt, and Samoa Joe taking on Kofi Kingston. We'll check on Luke Harper real quick before we end the video. Let's see how he's doing. Let's view profile and physical. Let's see. Luke Harper is currently working through a rotator cuff strain, so he's not going to need any time off. However, that strain will affect him in the ring, so we'll have to see how badly that's going to affect his performance and whether or not we need to make any kind of booking changes. So, thanks for joining us. I appreciate the subscribes from the people who subscribed last time. And leave your comments in the comments section. Make your predictions for the SmackDown WWE Title Tournament. And we will see you next time on Book It Better.